Okay guys and girls, this is Mollusk and this is going to be a super quick one. Collodi versus Sonnia. It's my friend's first game. Normally I try to engineer things so that people win their first game, but this guy's not a newcomer to wargaming. I mean, neither of us are veterans, but with Sonnia I figure he doesn't need my help. I'm just taking Collodi's basic box set, as this is a 40 soulstone game, with the addition of the shadow effigy. So I've got a marionette, a marionette, a marionette, and a marionette. 2 wicked dolls, the shadow effigy, Vasilisa and Collodi. Everyone's in the 6-inch bubble, and something I would immediately change is swapping Vasilisa to the front and putting Collodi behind. Her job is to move things up, and she could do that much better if she's got that extra bit of range, distance rather. And her defense 7 is just better at taking hits than Collodi's defense 5, should anything come our way early. My opponent has 3 Witchling Stalkers, a Witchling Handler, Dr. Grimwell, with a research grant, Sonnia, with Counterspell Aura and Reincarnation, and the Purifying Flame. Obviously Vasilisa's got a friend to talk to, and Collodi's taking Fated, Strum the Threads, and On Wings of Darkness. I was using this game to practice using Collodi's 12-inch diameter bubble, and that's what the focus of this report's going to be. So let's get on with things and into the first turn. There's my hand. I lost the initiative and so went first. The first move was to activate the shadow effigy, put his blend into shadow on Collodi and therefore everyone, and then move up into cover. As the turn progresses, my friend is moving his witchlings up cautiously and biding his time with Sonnia to wait for something to get into her range. What I'm doing is kind of creating the shell of the bubble, moving minions up as aggressively as cover will allow, and leaving the expensive and important Vasilisa and Collodi till later in the turn, where hopefully they'll be less vulnerable. At this point in the turn, my opponent's still got Dr. Grimwell, Sonnia and the Purifying Flame to activate, and I think I've made my move too soon. Vasilisa is activated, she's twisted the Wicked Doll up to this position, and then double walked with Collodi nearly to the house. I still got this marionette and this Wicked Doll to activate, and what I probably should have done is move them up to join the cuddle party behind that wall. So I've taken a bit of a risk by exposing Vasilisa and Collodi's what's-her-face Sonnia could possibly get out and hit them, which would be a bad thing. But my real goal here was to get my framed for murder Wicked Doll killed. I didn't want to run it up the centre too obviously, so it's kind of hugging cover there, but not really. There's a delicious line of sight to Sonnia, but it's just a bit too far, so she'll have to double walk out if she wants to hit it, which will also serve to draw her closer to me, which is where I want her. Fortunately for me, it was Dr. Grimwell that activated. He pushed Sonnia 4 inches closer and then ran himself to the wall, which allowed Collodi to go. He my-willed the marionette to drop an early scheme marker, my-willed Vasilisa to walk them both up to the house, and I discovered I could place them in such a way as to get a pull the strings attack off on one of the Witchling Stalkers, which does 4 damage and slows it. If I put more thought into this, I could have not dropped a scheme marker and had a second shot at this thing, which would almost certainly have killed it, or I could have strung the threads and achieved all things at once. But never mind, it teaches me to plan my moves, I guess. So now Sonnia goes, she dutifully walks up and blasts the Wicked Doll. I Black Joker my defense conveniently, but annoyingly she only does moderate damage, not quite enough to kill it, and also puts a blast on my personal puppet, who's that dark dude hiding behind this wall. So at the end of turn 1, that's how things are looking. The idea was to create a shell of minions and then pop Collodi inside it later in the turn, so that on turn 2 he can start up the symphony, and I think I've somewhat achieved it. I've moved up as much as I can, given the terrain, and the threat of fiery death. Collodi's a bit out of position, but I figure it was worth it to get that shot off and steal an AP. I think the positioning of the Frame for Murder Wicked Doll is okay. It's easily in range for Sonnia, and it's an extremely tempting target for the fact that she can put blasts on my masters from where it's positioned, so it's going to earn me 3 victory points. And there'll be a scrap marker in easy reach of Collodi when he activates. But I hate the positioning of this thing. There's no reason for it to be exposed out there, and it should be behind this wall. So we go into turn 2, pretty awesome hand, and I think my opponent had a really shit one. I lose the initiative, and Sonnia goes first. She takes the bait, obliterates the Frame for Murder doll, blasts onto Collodi and Vasilisa. Collodi kills his personal puppet, and Vasilisa forgets to soulstone, and starts to burn. He uses the rest of his attacks to attack this marionette, and miraculously doesn't kill it and doesn't do any blasts off it either. And I could have potentially just lost the game here if my opponent had had a better control hand, because losing these models as well could have been on the cards, which would have left me totally screwed. But thankfully that didn't happen. Skipping ahead a bit to about mid-turn, I'm starting to build my puppet wall here, defending the centre marker, and also tying up his master and henchman in combat. Vasilisa's shifted Collodi over, and then he's used his activations to summon the marionette and summon the wicked doll back, moving it over to Vasilisa so that it can sew her up a bit. I think I used Collodi's fourth action to take a shot at Grimwell, and so even without his focusing, just simply being near him makes the marionettes quite hot stuff for a 3 soulstone model, and they've actually put quite a good licking in on Sonnia. And she's taken some knocks and now has poison. A bit late, I've moved the shadow effigy out, put his thing on Collodi so that people in the bubble get that nice negative to an opponent's attack flip, and then I move him back into cover, and I like this way of using him. So at the end of the turn, the puppet wall is holding, which is great, and we've got some Witchling Stalkers coming around the side, which is giving me a bit of worry. So the Wicked Doll and the resummoned Marionette are off to go block up that side. And I've started to put this Marionette on scheme running duty, and hopefully he'll still have time to sub in and to reinforce this wall in later turns. Turn 3, there's the hand. I think I get the initiative. The Shadow Effigy runs up, as he might be needed to cover this flank a bit. He's also here to hold the scheme marker, and gets the blend into shadow bubble off on just about everybody. I then companion Accomplice, sorry. He goes fast, focuses, so now everybody's focused, and then beats Soulstones out of Dr. Grimwell. Dr. Grimwell wisely targets my Wicked Doll, who's healing my marionettes and putting poison on everything. I Black Joker the defense, but fortunately my opponent's luck is as bad as mine, and he Black Jokers the damage. And I think the doll pulls through. Thanks to the focusing and Collodi's presence, the marionette slaps Sonnia around good. She's now taken 9 damage and 2 poison. In return, because of that blend-in buff, and some bad cards, I'll admit, it takes Sonnia all 3 of her actions to kill the marionette in return, which is just fantastic. A bit later on, the Wicked Doll moves and attacks Sonnia as well, putting her on her last wound and 3 poison. But then the Witchling Stalker removes the poison condition. Cry, 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 cry. So at the end of the turn, things look like this. Both puppet walls are still holding, and both Grimwell and Sonnia are on their last legs. However, we are getting enveloped as the Purifying Flame is lapped around, and the Witchling Stalker and her handler, look set to break through. So things are still a bit dicey for Collodi. So, thanks to the beatings last turn, my friend is all out of Soulstones, and the upshot is we lose a Wicked Doll, but kill Grimwell, who my opponent had chosen as the bodyguard, and I guess that's a short, sharp lesson in how risky it is to put your bodyguard on the front line, and a marionette runs in and kills Sonnia. I probably shouldn't have done this. It hurts to lose your master, I'm a bad person, but I just couldn't resist. This bitch has caused me a lot of pain. So for the first and probably last ever time, Sonnia dies to a marionette. So we progress through the turn. The Witchlings eventually break through my flank, but it spends their force to do it. This Witchling's on its last wound and has burning, and Collodi and Vasilisa have got it out of its range. And I think the Witchling handler is at the moment beating on Vasilisa. And I just feel, I've got to share with you guys how often I see this card. I Black Joker Vasilisa's defense, but managed to just save her with a 3 prevention soulstone. And so at the end of this turn, things are pretty much over. Collodi mopped up the surviving Witchling and red jokered the Purifying Flame, and everything's in position to score max points. We go into the next turn anyway. The Witchling handler kills Vasilisa. Her only use this game has been to move Collodi right up to the middle of the board and then twiddle a few things around. I mean, that was really key, but maybe not 11 soulstones key. Collodi then Black Jokers his damage against the Witchling handler, failing to kill it. And there we go, guys. That's how things ended up. Good game, very interesting, and my opponent's always great fun to play. Obviously his first game, bit of a rough welcome to Malifaux, but he'll bounce back, and I have a feeling I'm in for some tough matches in future. As you can probably tell, I am certainly no authority on Collodi, and this is me just trying to figure him out. I made some moves, particularly earlier on when I was moving Collodi into position, that I could have been really punished for. The strategy in particular and some of the schemes were quite favourable, and wow, if you can get the crew in position and the opponent playing your game, Collodi's bubble can be pretty devastating. With all that focusing, AP sharing, and the effigies tar pit, they can really take out and give the punches. And that's a crew of 3 or 4 Soulstone models, all but wiping out quite a melee orientated guild crew. Obviously several things in my favour this game, and I mean especially this big blocking piece of terrain in the middle of the board. That is Collodi's best friend. And I hasten to add that I did not set this table. But yeah guys, there's my bubble practice. Got some things to work on, but I think the principles are sound, and I can't wait to try them out in future games. Take care.